North Korean leader Kim Jong Un went to China for the 80th Victory Day celebration. China commemorating its victory over Japanese forces in World War II. Interestingly, it was after World War II that Korea was split into North and South. But why is North Korea so secretive and isolated? Why is there a dictatorship in North Korea even though it is called the Democratic People's Republic of Korea? And why does its leader Kim Jong Un travel in a train? Let's connect the dots. North Korea, a nation shrouded in secrecy, defined by isolation and ruled by a regime that has gripped power for generations. But how did it become the world's most reclusive state? Long before the modern borders were drawn, Korea, under the Joseon dynasty, spanning the 14th to the 20th century, embraced isolationism. It was a shield meant to protect its Confucian traditions and also fend off foreign invasions. Then came World War II and Korea was split into two. The North, led by Kim Il-sung, turned inward, adopting a rigid communist ideology and severing ties with much of the outside world, especially the West. Since 1948, the Kim dynasty has ruled with an iron fist. Secrecy isn't just policy, it's power. Information is tightly controlled. Dissent is crushed. Loyalty is enforced through fear and relentless propaganda. For ordinary citizens, the internet is a distant dream. Foreign travel is forbidden. Even tourists are watched every step of the way. But isolation isn't just ideological, it's strategic. North Korea's nuclear weapons program is designed to deter foreign intervention and guarantee regime survival. The cost? Sanctions, poverty, and even deeper isolation. Despite economic hardship, the regime pours resources into its military, projecting strength while its people struggle. Missile tests, human rights violations, aggressive rhetoric. These have earned global condemnation and tightened sanctions. Today, China remains its only significant ally, but even that relationship is strained by North Korea's unpredictable behavior. Why is there a dictatorship in North Korea? North Korea is officially known as the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, or the DPRK. The name adopted in 1948, echoing Soviet-style people's republics that claimed to represent the working class. The word democratic was symbolic, meant to signal independence from colonial rule and alignment with socialist ideals. But in practice, it served a deeper purpose: to legitimize the regime on the global stage, especially during the Cold War. Today, the Workers' Party of Korea dominates every aspect of governance. Other parties exist, but only in name. They're legally bound, in fact, to support the WPK's leadership. Power has remained within the Kim family for over 7 decades. Kim Il-sung to Kim Jong-il, and now Kim Jong Un. The leadership is dynastic, not democratic. Recent speculation surrounds Kim Jong Un's daughter, seen during his visit to China. Some wonder, is she being positioned as his successor? She's still a teenager.
In the process of succession, visiting China, a brotherly nation, it's quite significant. And in a sense, it can be interpreted as carrying the meaning of approval from China. Jiwei's accompanying Kim Jong Un on this trip has considerable symbolic importance in that it shows her together with Kim going through a kind of successor's apprenticeship on the international stage.
Elections are held, but they offer only one state-approved candidate per district. Voting is mandatory, dissent is not. Citizens cannot freely express opinions, form opposition parties, or access uncensored information. The state controls the narrative. North Korea's constitution describes the system as a dictatorship of people's democracy, a phrase that fuses Marxist-Leninist ideology with authoritarian control. Kim Jong Un traveled to China by train, much like he did to Russia in 2023. What's special about Kim's train? Kim Jong Un's train isn't just transport, it's a fortress on rails. Bulletproof, blast resistant, and crawling at 60 kilometers per hour for maximum protection. Multiple trains run at once to confuse attackers. Inside, there are velvet curtains, zebra print chairs, French wine, live lobsters. It's luxury. There's a bedroom, restaurant, conference rooms, even armored Mercedes on board. Satellite phones and secure lines keep him connected to Pyongyang. Like his father and grandfather, Kim prefers rails to the sky. His father, Kim Jong Il, once spent 24 days traveling to Moscow. He feared flying. The train is political theater, a symbol of power, privacy, and deliberate leadership. Planes can be tracked, trains not so easily.
김정은의 집무실.
Inside the train, there is his office, meeting room, bathroom, restaurant, and gym, which are just for Kim Jong Un. Other than that, lots of Kim's entourages are also accompanied by him. So, places where the entourages take rest should be there, and there are also compartments for loading various supplies.
And it's not just tradition. North Korea's aging air fleet, mostly Soviet and Chinese, can't be trusted. Sanctions mean spare parts are scarce. Trains are harder to shoot down, easier to secure, and fully customizable. They reinforce Kim's image: cautious, grand, untouchable.
비행기보다는 기차가
The train is a little safer than the plane, apart from safety concerns. I think the reason why he took a train, the so called Tiangho, is that his private plane is too old.
But the secrecy goes further. Kim reportedly travels with a personal toilet, his waste collected and returned to North Korea. Why? Because DNA can reveal health issues. Intelligence agencies could exploit that. So not even a cigarette butt is left behind. In North Korea, Kim's health isn't just personal, it's political. Any sign of weakness could shake the regime's carefully crafted image of strength. Interestingly, one person who did watch the meeting of Kim Jong Un, Xi Jinping, and Vladimir Putin together was the US President Donald Trump. He posted on Truth Social a reminder of the key role the US played in ending World War II. The big question to be answered is whether or not President Xi of China will mention the massive amount of support and blood that the United States of America gave to China in order to help it secure its freedom from a very unfriendly foreign invader. Many Americans died in China's quest for victory and glory. I hope that they are rightfully honored and remembered for their bravery and sacrifice. May President Xi and the wonderful people of China have a great and lasting day of celebration. Please give my warmest regards to Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong Un as you conspire against the United States of America, President Donald J. Trump. Perhaps the parade wasn't just a parade, it was a visual geopolitical statement. Three leaders, each facing sanctions and scrutiny, standing together to say, we're still here and we're not alone. It was August 20, 1989. Beverly Hills, a quiet and wealthy neighborhood of Los Angeles, was known for its palm-lined streets and luxurious mansions. But that night, inside one of those mansions, a horrifying crime took place. Jose Menendez, a 45-year-old Hollywood executive, and his wife Kitty were gunned down in their family room while watching television. Jose was hit 6 times. Kitty was shot 10 times. The scene was brutal, shocking, and hard to imagine in such a wealthy part of the city. Fast forward to 2025. More than 3 decades later, their sons, Lyle and Eric Menendez, they remain in prison for those murders. In August 2025, both brothers went before California's Parole Board and both were denied release. They had hoped their long years in prison, their rehabilitation, and their remorse would earn them a second chance. But the parole boards said no. The decision once again put the Menendez case back in headlines. 36 years after that night in Beverly Hills. Let's go back to how it all began. At 11:47 p.m. on the night of the murders, a 911 call came in. It was Lyle Menendez, then just 21 years old. He told police he and his younger brother Eric, 18 at the time, had come home and found their parents shot to death. When officers arrived, they saw 2 young men in shock. Lyle cried uncontrollably. Eric avoided eye contact and appeared shaken. To many, they looked like devastated sons who had just lost their parents. First, Lyle even suggested it could have been a mob hit linked to his father's business dealings. Police believed that theory. After all, Jose Menendez was a powerful entertainment executive. But soon, doubts began to grow. In the weeks after the killings, police noticed strange behavior. Instead of mourning quietly, the brothers started spending large amounts of money. They bought luxury cars, Rolex watches, and designer clothes. They even invested in a restaurant. Investigators wondered, why were they living like millionaires right after their parents' deaths? For months, the case stalled. But then in March 1990, everything changed. Eric admitted the killings during a session with his psychologist. Unknown to him, the psychologist secretly recorded the conversation. Later, the psychologist's girlfriend told police about it. With that evidence, both brothers were arrested. When the case went to trial, the prosecution argued that Lyle and Eric had killed their parents for money. They stood to inherit millions in estate and life insurance. But the defense told a very different story. They claimed the brothers had suffered years of abuse at the hands of their father.
Dad's ideas for what he wanted.
The abuses were physical, emotional, and most importantly, sexual. They said Jose was controlling, violent, and threatening. According to the defense, the brothers killed out of fear, convinced that their father would kill them if they spoke out. The first trial in 1993 was broadcast on television. It shocked America. The court heard graphic accounts of abuse, along with the brutal details of the murders.
Menendez, a human being.
The trial ended in a mistrial after 2 juries could not agree.
That issue as well.
In 1995, the brothers were retried together. This time, much of the abuse evidence was not allowed. The jury found both guilty of first-degree murder and conspiracy. In 1996, they were sentenced to life in prison without parole. For decades, the Menendez brothers remained locked away. They were housed in separate prisons until 2018, when they were reunited in the same facility in San Diego. Behind bars, both men worked to change their lives. They earned college degrees, mentored younger inmates, and even started projects to improve prison life. They also expressed deep remorse for what they had done. But the case never faded from the public attention. In 2024, the streaming platform Netflix released Monsters, the Lyle and Eric Menendez story. The series brought the case back into the spotlight and introduced it to a new generation. Some viewers began calling for their release, saying the brothers had suffered years of abuse. Others argued they were simply greedy killers. The Menendez mansion at 722 North Elm Drive, Beverly Hills, continues to attract public attention. especially after the release of the Netflix series about the case.
Actually, it's huge everywhere, especially since the Netflix came out, which I don't like because I think calling it monsters is rude. It's not good. I don't think the boys were monsters. They were mistreated, and not that murder is right, they did it wrong, but no, they should be released, definitely.
It's really awesome seeing it like in person, because like I don't know, it's just I don't really know exactly why it's awesome. It's just because you see it on TV and you see it in person, it just feels really cool.
In 2023, the brothers' lawyers presented new evidence, including an old letter written by Eric describing abuse and testimony from others who accused Jose Menendez of misconduct. This led to a major legal breakthrough. In May 2025, a Los Angeles judge resentenced the brothers from life without parole to 50 years to life. Since they had already served over 35 years, they immediately became eligible for parole. It was their first real chance at freedom. But when the hearings came in August of 2025, both pleas were denied. Eric, now 54, was told that his rule violations in prison, especially repeated use of illegal cell phones, showed he still posed a risk. Lyle, 57, faced the board the next day. The commissioners acknowledged his remorse and positive work in prison, but they pointed to concerns about his self-control, decision-making, and violent nature of the murders.
When they committed the murders themselves, they staged it to look like a brutal mafia killing, shooting their father through the back of the head, their mother who lied dying and bleeding on the ground. They reloaded the shotgun, put it up to her cheek, and pulled the trigger. And then after the parents were dead, they shot them each in the kneecaps in order to stage this as a mafia killing.
Today, both brothers remain at the Richard J. Donovan Correctional Facility in San Diego. They could apply for parole again in 2028, though with good behavior, that could come earlier. They could also seek clemency from the California governor, Gavin Newsom. But for now, their future is uncertain. The Menendez case continues to divide opinion. Were they cold-blooded killers who murdered for money? Or were they victims who acted out of fear after years of abuse? But one thing is for sure. On that summer night in 1989, in one of Los Angeles' most glamorous neighborhoods, the Menendez brothers forever changed the image of the American family behind closed doors. Before we wrap up, let's take a moment to share an inspiring story. In Brazil, an NGO is rescuing and rehabilitating wild animals caught in the chaos of urban life, offering them a second chance and helping protect the rich biodiversity of the region. Thanks for watching. We leave you now with these visuals.